I absolutely have to have breakfast every single day. Of course, I don't mean a big meal every morning. I mean, who's got the time? But whether it's a quick snack on the run or a more leisurely weekend affair, breakfast with family and friends, it always feels special. I suppose as the first meal of the day, it is a celebration of being alive, even if it's in the wee small hours. I'm a creature of habit, and so I usually eat the same thing, an oozingly golden boiled egg and fingers. And for days when I have a moment to get ahead, it has to be chocolate peanut granola, fabulous as a cereal or in gorgeous Moorish granola muffins. Then for a treat, cheesecakelets with strawberry sauce on those days when I want to pretend I'm the perfect mom and have time to stand flipping pancakes at the stove. And for parties, raspberry and oatmeal swirls, the simplest recipe that wows the guests. And last, but certainly not least, bacon and tomato hash. It's my all-day and sometimes all-night breakfast. It's so delicious I could eat it any time, and often do. Okay, one more bit of toast, and then we have to get going. I don't want to be late. Okay, one more. Can't be late. Okay, we're gonna be late. Come on now. Down. Come on. Chop, chop. Wait, no. I absolutely have to have the same breakfast every day. The ultimate breakfast for me. Boiled egg with really good bread and butter. Now, I don't really have to tell anyone how to boil an egg. I do realise that. But I kind of think it's important to remember that really, really good meals aren't about doing anything difficult. You know, I like things simple, but I like them good. So for me, that means an organic free-range egg, room temperature, into boiling water. If you're using fridge cold eggs, put the egg into cold water and then once it comes to the boil, give it exactly the same time. Now, how you time your egg is up to you. Everyone likes their egg differently. I like mine just set on the white and really gooey and golden and just glorious in the middle. So that's 4 minutes. This is a strange ingredient, I know, but it works for me, a match. My great aunt Frida always told me that if you put a match into the boiling water when you're boiling an egg, should the shell break, and it often does, you won't get that kind of ribbony cloud of white all over the water. You know, that's what my great aunt told me. I do what I'm told. With family, it's easier. Bread has to be sourdough. There's a time and a place for that white pap, but in the morning, I want this really dense, heavy, fresh sourdough. May as well start the day well. Again, you see my rules. I have to have unsalted butter, cold, but not that oily softness. Not that I'm difficult to live with or anything. We're ready. Now this is the moment of truth. If an egg isn't cooked how you want it, it's the most disappointing thing. The only thing I know as disappointing is a bath that's not hot enough. You need a bit of brutality with this egg. I need to kind of slice the top of its head off. Some people like to clatter about on the shell, not me. I like a bit of violence. Ha, perfect. My last absolute requirement, some really good coarse sea salt, like snow going down. Now you watch this. For me, this is the perfect egg. Gonna eat the rest by myself. Look, I am aware that making your own granola sounds completely mad, but actually you just need to do one shot and it's easy. To start my granola off, I need oats, and I also need some honey, some seeds and some applesauce. I like to use applesauce in granola because it helps everything stick together and you don't need to use as much syrup. Last thing on my list, some lovely natural peanuts. This will give everything a healthy crunch. I love this chocolate and peanut granola. I mean, it sounds like a mad thing to make, I know, you can buy it anywhere, but you have to try this one. So I'm using 4.5 cups, about 450 grams of oats. These are rolled oats. You can see they're slightly larger, often called jumbo oats, and I love these ones. But any's okay as long as it's not instant. You want heft and you want texture. Now, a cup, or about 125 grams of sunflower seeds. Scatter these in, and this is what gives lovely crunch as well later on. 3/4 of a cup of sesame seeds, about 100 grams. So on top of the 3/4 of a cup of sesame seeds, same amount, about 3/4 of a cup of apple sauce, sweetened or unsweetened as you want. As long as it tastes good, that's the only thing you should be worrying about. And then about 1/4 of a cup, 25 grams of cocoa, and this is really gorgeous because you get all that sort of deep chocolatey flavour and no fat. Not that you know I care about that at all, but I'm just trying to sound like I do. In an ideal world, I'm going to be honest with you, you would sieve this cocoa, but no world is ever going to be ideal enough for me to sieve in. I just can't do it. I'd rather live with the odd lump. Okay, now I'm going to do a bit of spiceage. Bit of ground ginger, which kind of gives you heat. And you have to have cinnamon. That's the smell of home for me, so comforting. About 2 teaspoons. So about 1/4 of a cup, 100 grams or so of honey. And 1/3 of a cup, I'm using brown rice syrup. I mean, you have to get it from the health store, and if you want to do it without, just use dark corn syrup, golden syrup, cane syrup. You want something sticky, you want something sweet. The thing about this lovely rice syrup is that it almost gives a kind of malted taste. It's about 125 grams. Now bear with me, as telephonists say, because we're nearly there. You can see it's not difficult, there's just lots of things to put in. And 2 cups, about 300 grams of peanuts. I've got these ones with skins on. If you find them without skins, when they're kind of small and pale, that's fine too. I just love the rosiness of these. Bit of oil, about 2 tablespoons. You're just really letting the oil slick everything together so it all sticks. Sugar, about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Obviously add more if you want it sweeter. I think it's important not to make things too sweet. Everything needs balance and life, so with this sweetness I'm going to put about 1 teaspoon of fine sea salt. The messy work. I love this, my children love it. It's just a question of stirring everything together. You're really just trying to get all the ingredients evenly amalgamated. I mean, I wouldn't lose sleep over it, just great. And then this goes in the oven later, just about 150 centigrade, 300 Fahrenheit, for about 40 minutes. I'm going to have a very smug making container of granola on my hands. So my chocolate and peanut granola is perfect now. Can you see that sludge has turned into a kind of brittle? So nice. You can just break it into small pieces if you like, and that is fabulous over vanilla ice cream, I can tell you. Then one thing that's dangerous to do with this is to start eating it because it's so moorish. You just carry on and on. But I can't resist a small bit. It would be foolish. It's like a healthy sort of peanut brittle. Really chocolatey as well. I'm going to fill a jar with it. Now, because this is all natural and hasn't got anything, preservative or anything in it, it's not going to last forever, but I wouldn't let that concern you because I promise you it never stays around very long. Anyway, as long as it's cool and it's in a jar, it should last, I would think, a good week more. You don't need any excuse to make granola. I mean, it's fabulous just eating it just out of the jar. But it does make great muffins. Now the deal about muffins is they are incredibly easy to make. All you need really is a cup and a half, about 225 grams of plain flour, a spoonful of bicarb, just a teaspoon, and about a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. So that's the dry part. Now the wet, an egg, a cup, about 250 mils of buttermilk, and it's the buttermilk that gives the really wonderful sort of soft texture to these muffins. And about a third of a cup, 75 millilitres or so, of just plain vegetable oil. A lot of muffin recipes say to have cooled melted butter. So much easier just to use oil. And we need a bit of sugar. I want brown sugar just to bring out all that caramelly taste of the granola. About 175 grams, just under 1 cup. Normally you'd put it in the dry ingredients, but I think mixing it in with the oil and buttermilk just helps the brown sugar melt a bit and you don't get those kind of bullets of dark sugar. A bit of a mix up. Right. So I told you it was easy, just the wet ingredients into the dry. Now this does look a bit lumpy, and I'm promising you that's a good thing. A lumpy batter makes a light muffin. If you overwork it, it gets really dense and heavy. This is perfect. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, at least I have, the granola. I use about 2 cups, about 250 grams. She guessed. Cereal in a cake. I mean, how can that be bad? Okay, now I must show you this. Ice cream scoop, muffin batter. Perfect muffins. So as soon as these are filled, the tray goes in the oven about 25 minutes, 200 centigrade, 400 Fahrenheit. And then you just take them out of the oven and eat them. I told you it was easy. Well, I know that I should wait about 10 minutes before trying one, but patience has never been one of my virtues. Worth it. I make pancakes for weekend breakfast because everyone loves them and I'm not turned into some sort of short order chef. My cheesecakelets make us all happy, me included. Well, the cheese for my cheesecakelets is nothing smelly, it's cottage cheese. And I love them particularly because they remind me of the old-fashioned cheesecake that my granny used to make, and that was always made with cottage cheese. And what you get from this is a kind of celestially light cheesecake in pancake form. I mean, what is wrong with that? And with them, I don't want syrup, I want something really light and juicy. And I have some strawberries, which I macerate, I chop first. Use a knife, but I like this. Just chop up and macerate with a bit of balsamic vinegar and teeny pinch of sugar. This is halfway between a sauce and a kind of fruity relish. I need about a couple of cups. So that's the strawberries done. Now what I am going to do is imbue these beautiful luscious berries with a kind of luminescent ruby glaze, and this is how it's done. Very small amount of sugar. That's really about half a teaspoon. About the same amount of balsamic vinegar. I mean, look at that glorious burnished glow. And the best way of macerating the fruit is just to kind of swirl the bowl, and you can see already this glorious ruby glaze just lighting up the berries. For the cheesecakelets, I prefer a smooth griddle. I'm going to turn it on now so that it heats up while I'm making them. I mean, it takes a matter of moments to make these. I'm not daft. I mean, I can't even get dressed before I cook the children's breakfast, so I'm certainly not going to cook anything that dramatic. 3 eggs, separated. Into these yolks goes a couple of spoonfuls of sugar. So I'm just going to do about half of this, which I reckon is about 2 tablespoons. See, I have a very scientific approach to measuring. Just give it a little stir. And on top of that, about a teaspoon, give or take, of vanilla. And about a cup or 250 grams of cottage cheese. And a third of a cup, about 50 grams, just regular plain all-purpose flour. Now there are no baking agents, no baking powder here, because 3 eggs anyway helps lift the batter. And then of course I'm going to foam gently, no meringue making, the whites later, so you've got all the lift you need. That part's done, and now the foaminess in question is achieved really very easily. There we are. Whisk up. Very good upper arm exercise. You wouldn't want to be doing this in a sleeveless dress though. Just till it gets foamy. They're not actually meant to look like whipped egg whites, but just enough so the air has stopped them being see-through and given them a kind of translucent white sort of cappuccino topping almost, not quite. That's about it. The one into the other, and a bit of folding. Don't be frightened of egg whites, just you're the boss. Okay, so my beautiful eggy yellow curd flaked batter is done. Cheesecake in a pancake, what could be better? Dollop ladlefuls onto your griddle. I could get more into here, but that might be showing off, so I'll stop. Now you'll see as they start getting little bubbles around the edges, and that means they're nearly ready. About a minute I give them on the first side. Okay, now they're ready to flip. I don't mean start shouting at the children, that's later. Right, they're ready. Cheesecakelets for my little baby cakelets. Okay, ready, come on now. Just squidge a bit of the sauce over. Oh, a nice start for the weekend. Morning. Are you hungry? Yeah. Okay, Mimi, plate the syrup out for you. Bruni.
Thank you, Mum. The last one.
You may have the last one.
I'll do this.
So you like these two, Bruno?
They're my favourite.
Everything is your favourite. I think we all need a little help getting our act together in the mornings, and I find a stash of food in the freezer really can help with breakfasts. I wrap bacon and sausages for speedy thawing. I don't like to wait long for my food. And when the bananas get in the kitchen, get too mature and ripe and black for my children to eat, I bung them in the freezer, and then I can make a quick smoothie anytime and nice and frothy. And I've got some muffins there. If I put those in the microwave, they taste freshly baked all over again. But for now, I want some raspberries. So I've got some friends coming for breakfast and I'm making them my raspberry and oatmeal swirls because I want to give them something that kind of tastes wonderful and as if I'd gone to some incredible effort, but actually is incredibly easy. And what these swirls are is kind of like a breakfast trifle of raspberries with yoghurt and oatmeal cookie crumbs. And I'm using these frozen raspberries not just because it's easy, because of course you can just keep them in your freezer for whenever you want them, because I happen to love the kind of sorbet tang and refreshingness of using the frozen berries. The only thing is, because they're frozen and kind of really hard, it is both very noisy and takes a long time to blitz them, so don't do this with a hangover. Oh, that looks like wonderful frozen red confetti. I add the sugar now. I think it's best because the raspberries have started melting down, so the sugar will just absorb faster. About 4 teaspoons. We've got 2 cups of frozen raspberries. That's just ordinary icing sugar. I'm back for another blitz. Well, that is taking time. I said it would. So I'm just getting a bag. This is in fact for the cookies, to have a good bash around. Oh, well, that's perfect. Oh, it looks like raspberry sorbet. Okay, I'm going to start absolutely obliterating 3 oatmeal cookies. It really isn't worth getting a processor out for this. It's just as easy, really. Easier to use a rolling pin and much more enjoyable. My work done, that's it. Now just a bit of layering up. First, a little layer of raspberry, and then a bit of yoghurt. I've got 2 cups here, about 500 mils, and that's Greek yoghurt, which is really luscious and thick and creamy, but whole milk does the same job. And then a layer of the cookie crumbs, like lovely golden sand. Now raspberry again. And then yoghurt. And then a final layer of crumbs. And you're done. My kind of breakfast.
Would you like one of those?
Thank you, my dear.
They're recommended. They look very nice.
Oh, very nice, thank you very much.
Please. Homemade.
Oh no, what's in it?
Chocolate,
Yeah.
nuts, very, very healthy. Yeah. I might just have to pinch down a bit.
Wow! I wish you would have told us this was coming, because I wouldn't have stuffed myself.
I know you would.
What's in it? Look at this.
Raspberries,
My
yoghurt,
favourite.
oatmeal cookies.
Is it very, very healthy?
Very. Very delicious, which is really important.
You've been slaving around the kitchen all morning making these, have you, Nigella?
That's not just the morning. I've been slaving for days over this.
So do the raspberries, you just put them in the blender, or what do you do?
No, I just keep them in the deep freeze. And then I
frozen raspberries?
I didn't like that. I promise you. I mean, I only was pretending when I said it was hard work. I mean, I could do this in my sleep. I'd often have.
I could so eat that again.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
There's not a problem at all. Apart from my hips, perhaps.
After some nights, you just need a very early breakfast, and I've had one of those nights. We'll talk about it later. For some inexplicable reason, after a late night, I seem to need fried foods, and I need them fast, which means only one thing: my bacon and tomato hash. Garlic oil, or chili oil, or ordinary oil, whatever's nearest. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay. Now, bacon and tomato hash, obviously the main component is bacon. A couple of slices snipped up. I think scissors is the way to go right now, don't you? A couple more slices. Okay, so I want this to cook properly. I may as well get on with chopping a bit of tomato. Now, at this time of night, I'm not going to be blanching, I'm not going to be peeling, I'm not going to be de-sealing. I mean, I'm just going to be coarsely chopping. Give a bit of a help here. There is no smell like frying bacon. I think, along with my fried food, I do need a bit of carbohydrates. So I have the bread. Just get rid of that one, have a nice fresh slice. Oh, some parsley, a lot of it, nice and green. Oh, yeah, a rather excessive amount, I know, but who said there was anything wrong with excess? Right, I think I'm going to release the bacon from its pan. It's so lovely and crisp now, I'm salivating. Okay, this is where I'm going to stand well back. And this pan is hot. Bit of Worcester sauce, I think. Ah, gets better and better, doesn't it? Okay, well my patience only goes so far. I'm going to back in. Oh, swirl around. Bit of green. Waste not, want not, but black pepper, obviously, and lots of it. Oh, and I think a bit of chilli. Nothing like chilli to absorb the night's excesses. Will brush my teeth after, I promise.